Welcome to the Sleepy Pharmacist. This channel shares calm, factual information about medicines and pharmacology. In this video, you'll hear quiet facts about GLP-1 medications, designed to help you learn gently and fall asleep. You can listen actively or let the information fade into the background as you rest. Fact 1. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It is a hormone that the body produces naturally. The gut releases this hormone after eating. Fact 2. Special cells in the lining of the intestines produce GLP-1. These cells are called L cells. They respond to food, including carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Fact 3. Natural GLP-1 breaks down very quickly in the body. Its half-life is about 2 minutes. An enzyme called dipeptidyl peptidase 4 breaks it down. Fact 4. The body also produces GLP-1 in a brain region called the nucleus tractus solitarius. This is in addition to production in the gut. Fact 5. Incretins are a category of gut hormones. GLP-1 is one of the two main incretins. The other is called glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. Fact 6. The word incretin comes from a phrase meaning intestine secretion insulin. This name describes what these hormones do. They are released from the intestines and affect insulin. Fact 7. Eating food triggers more insulin release than receiving the same glucose through an intravenous infusion. This difference is called the incretin effect. In healthy people, incretins can account for a large portion of insulin released after a meal. Fact 8. GLP-1 acts on multiple body systems at the same time. It affects the brain, the pancreas, and the stomach. Each of these effects happens through GLP-1 receptors. Fact 9. In the brain, GLP-1 acts on the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is sometimes described as a hunger center. GLP-1 can increase feelings of fullness and reduce the desire to eat. Fact 10. GLP-1 receptors also exist in brain reward centers. Research suggests the hormone may reduce how pleasurable high-calorie foods feel. Fact 11. In the pancreas, GLP-1 signals the body to release more insulin when blood sugar is high. This effect is called glucose-dependent. It only activates when needed. Fact 12. GLP-1 also slows gastric emptying. This means food stays in the stomach longer. This can help reduce rapid rises in blood sugar after meals. Fact 13. Semaglutide is the generic name for the medications sold as Ozempic and Wegovy. These are made by Novo Nordisk. Ozempic and Wegovy contain the same active ingredient. Fact 14. Semaglutide is about 94% identical to natural human GLP-1. It has been modified so it lasts much longer in the body. Fact 15. Drug designers attached a fatty acid to the semaglutide molecule. This fatty acid allows the drug to bind to a blood protein called albumin. This slows how quickly it is removed from the body. Fact 16. The modifications to semaglutide extend its half-life from minutes to about 1 week. This is why it can be taken once weekly. Fact 17. Tirzepatide is the generic name for the medications sold as Mounjaro and Zepbound. These are made by Eli Lilly. Fact 18. Tirzepatide is called a dual agonist. It activates both glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide receptors and GLP-1 receptors with a single molecule. Some researchers call it a twin incretin. Fact 19. Tirzepatide is based primarily on the glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide structure. It has been modified to also trigger GLP-1 receptors. Fact 20. Research shows tirzepatide can favor glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide receptors. It binds strongly to glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide receptors and more weakly to GLP-1 receptors compared with natural GLP-1. Fact 21. Glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide receptors exist in the pancreas, fat tissue, bone, and brain. This is in addition to where GLP-1 receptors are found. Fact 22. The term receptor agonist has a specific meaning in pharmacology. A receptor is a structure on a cell that can be activated. An agonist is a substance that fits and activates it. Fact 23. An antagonist is the opposite of an agonist. An antagonist fits into a receptor but blocks it. Agonists activate receptors. Fact 24. Ozempic received approval from the United States Food and Drug Administration in December 2017. It was approved for type 2 diabetes. This was the first approval for semaglutide. Fact 25. The European Medicines Agency approved Ozempic in early 2018. Health Canada approved it in early 2018 as well. Fact 26. Wegovy received approval from the United States Food and Drug Administration in June 2021. It was approved specifically for chronic weight management. It contains the same active ingredient as Ozempic. Fact 27. The European Medicines Agency approved Wegovy in early 2022. This was several months after the United States approval. Fact 28. An oral semaglutide tablet called Rybelsus was approved in September 2019. It was the first oral GLP-1 medication approved. It was approved for diabetes. Fact 29. An oral version of Wegovy was approved by the United States Food and Drug Administration in late 2025. It was the first oral GLP-1 approved for weight management. Fact 30. Mounjaro received approval from the United States Food and Drug Administration in May 2022. It was approved for type 2 diabetes. Fact 31. The European Medicines Agency approved Mounjaro in September 2022. Health Canada approved it in November 2022. Fact 32. Zepbound received approval from the United States Food and Drug Administration in November 2023. It was approved for chronic weight management. It contains the same active ingredient as Mounjaro. Fact 33. In the European Union, weight management was added to the existing Mounjaro brand. A separate Zepbound brand was not created in Europe. Fact 34. Ozempic, Mounjaro, and Rybelsus are approved for type 2 diabetes. Wegovy and Zepbound are approved specifically for chronic weight management. Fact 35. The Incretin concept dates back to 1906. Researchers proposed the gut might secrete something that controls blood sugar. Fact 36. Belgian physiologist Jean Labarre coined the term Incretin in 1932. The concept was theoretical at that time. Fact 37. The Incretin effect was formally proven in the 1960s. Research groups in London demonstrated that oral glucose triggers more insulin than intravenous glucose. Fact 38. GLP-1 was discovered in 1982 and 1983. Joel Habener's laboratory at Massachusetts General Hospital sequenced the proglucagon gene from anglerfish. Fact 39. The proglucagon gene encodes 3 peptides. These are glucagon plus 2 novel peptides. The novel ones were later named GLP-1 and GLP-2. Fact 40. Peptide chemist Svetlana Moisov identified that the active form of GLP-1 was a shortened version. It is called GLP-17-37, not the full chain. Fact 41. In 1986, Moisov, Habener, and Daniel Drucker demonstrated that very small amounts of synthesized GLP-1 could trigger insulin secretion. Fact 42. The first GLP-1 drug came from Gila monster saliva. The Gila monster is a venomous lizard native to the southwestern United States. Fact 43. Exenatide is the generic name for the medication sold as Byetta. It is synthetic Exendin-4, a peptide found naturally in Gila monster saliva. Fact 44. Exenatide shares about 50% structural similarity with human GLP-1. It lasts longer than natural GLP-1 because the body breaks it down more slowly. Fact 45. The United States Food and Drug Administration approved exenatide in April 2005. This was the first GLP-1 receptor agonist approved for human use. Fact 46. The approval of exenatide showed that targeting the GLP-1 receptor was a viable strategy. This inspired other pharmaceutical companies to develop similar drugs. Fact 47. Novo Nordisk developed technology to extend GLP-1 action from minutes to about a week. Scientist Lotte Bjerre-Knudsen led an innovation team in the early 1990s. Fact 48. The technique is called fatty acid acylation. A fatty acid is attached via a linker that allows GLP-1 to bind to albumin. This protects the molecule from rapid breakdown. Fact 49. Liraglutide was approved in 2010 under the brand name Victoza. It was a once-daily GLP-1 medication for diabetes. Fact 50. 3 scientists received the 2024 Lasker Award for GLP-1 research. They were Joel Habener, Svetlana Moisov, and Lotte Bjerre-Knudsen. Fact 51. The Lasker Award is considered one of the most prestigious biomedical research prizes in the United States. It has been awarded annually for many decades. Fact 52. Prescriptions for semaglutide increased rapidly between early 2021 and late 2023. This reflects a large rise in use over a short period. Fact 53. The hashtag Ozempic received millions of views on the social media platform TikTok. Searches for the term increased substantially between mid-2022 and mid-2023. Fact 54. By early 2024, industry analyses estimated tens of thousands of new patients were starting Wegovy each week in the United States. Fact 55. Clinical trials reported average weight loss of roughly 15 to 21% with GLP-1 medications. Earlier weight loss medications typically produced smaller average weight changes. Fact 56. In clinical trials, some participants achieved more than 20% weight loss with GLP-1 medications. This was considered a notable outcome in obesity research. Fact 57. Oprah Winfrey publicly acknowledged using GLP-1 medications in December 2023. Other public figures have also discussed their use of these medications. Fact 58. Injectable semaglutide experienced supply constraints beginning in early 2022 and continuing into 2025. Increased demand was widely cited as a contributing factor. Fact 59. Tirzepatide also experienced periods of limited availability during the same general time period. Increased demand was cited as a primary cause. Fact 60. During shortages, compounding pharmacies may prepare alternative versions under certain regulatory conditions. This led to increased availability of compounded products during the shortage period. Fact 61. Novo Nordisk filed lawsuits related to compounded semaglutide products during and after the shortage period. Fact 62. Novo Nordisk spent hundreds of millions of dollars on television advertising for Ozempic and Wegovy between 2018 and 2023. This represented a large marketing investment. Fact 63. Novo Nordisk dedicated many billions of dollars to expanding global manufacturing capacity. This expansion was driven by rising demand for these medications. Fact 64. By late 2024, Tirzepatide's commercial success contributed to Eli Lilly becoming one of the most valuable pharmaceutical companies in the world by market capitalization. Fact 65. The American Medical Association classified obesity as a chronic disease in 2013. This classification occurred before current GLP-1 weight management approvals. Fact 66. The World Health Organization describes obesity as a chronic, relapsing disease. It attributes obesity to interactions among genetics, neurobiology, behavior, and environment. Fact 67. Research shows the body tends to increase hunger and reduce calorie expenditure after weight loss. This biological response occurs regardless of the method used to lose weight. Fact 68. A clinical study extension found that participants regained a substantial portion of lost weight 1 year after stopping semaglutide. These findings were published in 2022. Fact 69. A 2024 study reported that some people who stopped GLP-1 medications maintained their weight or continued losing weight after 1 year. Others regained some or all lost weight. Fact 70. Amphetamines were used for weight loss from the 1940s through the 1970s. They are stimulants with addiction potential and act differently than GLP-1 medications. Fact 71. Fen-phen was a combination weight loss medication withdrawn in 1997. It caused heart valve damage through serotonin pathways and led to large legal settlements. Fact 72. Sibutramine was sold under the brand name Meridia. It was withdrawn in 2010 because it increased the risk of heart attack and stroke. Fact 73. Lorcaserin was sold under the brand name Belviq. It was withdrawn in 2020 after studies suggested increased cancer occurrence. Fact 74. GLP-1 medications mimic natural gut hormones. This differs from older weight loss drugs, which often acted as stimulants or blocked fat absorption. Fact 75. A large clinical study reported that semaglutide was associated with fewer major cardiovascular events in a specific population with cardiovascular disease. Fact 76. A meta-analysis involving academic and regulatory researchers reported no increased risk of suicidal thoughts with GLP-1 medications. The analysis suggested a lower risk of some events. Fact 77. In early 2026, the United States Food and Drug Administration reviewed evidence related to suicidal behavior warnings for GLP-1 medications. Fact 78. Gastrointestinal effects are the most commonly reported side effects across the GLP-1 class. These include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal pain, and reflux. Fact 79. Gastrointestinal effects are most common when starting treatment or during dose increases. They often improve as the body adjusts over time. Fact 80. Gradual dose titration protocols exist for GLP-1 medications. This means the dose is increased slowly rather than starting at the full dose. Fact 81. Injection site reactions can occur with injectable GLP-1 medications. These reactions may include itching, redness, and irritation at the injection site. Fact 82. Clinical trials showed modest increases in resting heart rate with GLP-1 medications. Average increases were about 1 to 4 beats per minute compared with placebo. Fact 83. A boxed warning for thyroid C-cell tumors appears on GLP-1 medication labels. In rodent studies, these drugs caused thyroid tumors, including cancer. Fact 84. The relevance of rodent thyroid tumor findings to humans is unknown. The boxed warning applies to medications in the GLP-1 class. Fact 85. Pancreatitis is listed as a warning for GLP-1 medications. Acute cases were observed in clinical trials and after market release. Fact 86. Gallbladder effects are also listed as warnings for GLP-1 medications. These include gallstones and inflammation of the gallbladder. Fact 87. Acute kidney injury is listed as a warning for GLP-1 medications. Many reported cases occurred in people with dehydration related to gastrointestinal symptoms. Fact 88. Hypersensitivity reactions are listed as a warning for GLP-1 medications. These are allergic-type reactions that can occur with many drugs. Fact 89. Orlistat is sold under the brand names Xenical and Ali. It was approved in 1999 for weight management. Fact 90. Orlistat blocks a portion of dietary fat absorption. Average weight loss with orlistat is modest compared with newer medications. Fact 91. Phentermine and topiramate are combined in the medication sold as Qsymia. It was approved in 2012 for weight management. Fact 92. Phentermine and topiramate combine an appetite suppressant with an anti-seizure medication. Average weight loss is greater than some older medications. Fact 93. Naltrexone and bupropion are combined in the medication sold as Contrav. It was approved in 2014 for weight management. Fact 94. Naltrexone and bupropion combine an opioid blocker with an antidepressant. Average weight loss is modest compared with newer medications. Fact 95. The field of anti-obesity medications has changed over time. Earlier drugs focused on stimulants or fat absorption, while newer drugs focus on hormone signaling. Fact 96. Brain imaging studies show GLP-1 medications reduce brain responses to food in regions involved in appetite and reward. This suggests a role in satiety signaling. Fact 97. Glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide receptors are found in fat tissue as well as other organs. This may contribute to metabolic effects beyond appetite. Fact 98. GLP-1 receptors are present in the brainstem in addition to the hypothalamus. Both regions are involved in appetite regulation. Fact 99. Novo Nordisk is a Danish pharmaceutical company founded in 1923. It has historically focused on diabetes medications. Fact 100. Eli Lilly is an American pharmaceutical company founded in 1876. It is headquartered in Indianapolis, Indiana. Fact 101. The term GLP-1 receptor agonist is the pharmacological classification for this drug class. It refers to medications that activate the GLP-1 receptor in medical literature. Fact 102. The hypothalamus is a small region near the base of the brain. It plays a central role in regulating hunger and satiety. Its weight is often described as only a few grams. Fact 103. The arcuate nucleus is a specific area within the hypothalamus. It contains neurons that respond to hunger and fullness signals. GLP-1 receptors have been identified in this region. Fact 104. The vagus nerve connects the gut to the brain. It is commonly described as the longest cranial nerve. It carries signals from the digestive system toward the brain stem. Fact 105. GLP-1 can signal to the brain through more than one route. One route involves hormones circulating in the bloodstream. Another route involves nerve signaling from the gut. including the vagus nerve. Fact 106. Gastric emptying refers to how quickly food leaves the stomach and enters the small intestine. GLP-1 slows this process. Slower emptying can contribute to a longer-lasting feeling of fullness after meals. Fact Simps Septini. Satiety describes the fullness that leads someone to stop eating during a meal. Satiation is often used for the longer-lasting fullness between meals. GLP-1 is described as influencing both processes. Fact 108. Albumin is the most abundant protein in human blood plasma. It is often described as making up about half of plasma proteins. Some GLP-1 medications bind to albumin to help extend how long they remain in the body. Fact 109. A drug's half-life refers to the time it takes for the amount in the body to decrease by about half. Longer half-lives are often associated with less frequent dosing schedules. Fact 110. Liraglutide has a half-life commonly described as about 13 hours. Semaglutide has a half-life commonly described as about 1 week. This difference is part of why liraglutide is used on a daily schedule and semaglutide on a weekly schedule. Fact 111. The pancreas sits behind the stomach. It produces digestive enzymes and also produces hormones. Insulin is one of the hormones produced there. Fact 112. Beta cells are specialized cells in the pancreas. They are located in clusters called the islets of Langerhans. Beta cells produce and release insulin. Fact 113. GLP-1 receptors are found on pancreatic beta cells. When GLP-1 binds to these receptors, it enhances insulin secretion. This effect occurs mainly when blood glucose is elevated. Fact 114. The glucose-dependent nature of GLP-1's insulin effect means insulin release is mainly enhanced when blood glucose is elevated. It is often described as less active when blood glucose is already low. Fact 115. Glucagon is another hormone produced by the pancreas. It is made by alpha cells. Glucagon raises blood glucose, which is the opposite of insulin's main effect. Fact 116. GLP-1 suppresses glucagon secretion when blood glucose is high. This is another way the GLP-1 pathway is described as helping regulate glucose levels. Fact 117. The pro-glucagon gene is expressed in more than one tissue. In the pancreas, it is processed mainly into glucagon. In the intestines and certain brain regions, it is processed mainly into GLP-1 and GLP-2. Fact 118. Different enzymes process the same gene product differently in different tissues. This allows one gene to produce different hormone fragments depending on the location. This is often described as tissue-specific processing. Fact 119. GLP-2 is another peptide produced from the proglucagon gene in the intestines. It promotes intestinal growth and nutrient absorption. It does not have the same appetite effects as GLP-1. Fact 120. Teduglutide is a GLP-2 analog medication. It is used in the treatment of short bowel syndrome. It is not used for diabetes or weight management. Fact 121. The enzyme that breaks down natural GLP-1 is called dipeptidyl peptidase 4. It is found throughout the body, including in the bloodstream and on cell surfaces. This widespread presence helps explain why natural GLP-1 is short-lived. Fact 122. Dipeptidyl peptidase 4 inhibitors are a separate class of diabetes medications. They work by blocking the enzyme that breaks down natural GLP-1. Brand examples include Januvia, Onglyza, and Tradjenta. Fact 123. Dipeptidyl peptidase 4 inhibitors increase levels of the body's own GLP-1 by slowing its breakdown. GLP-1 receptor agonists provide a GLP-1-like signal from an external source. These represent two different ways of working through the same pathway. Fact 124. Dipeptidyl peptidase. 4 inhibitors are taken as oral tablets. Many GLP-1 receptor agonists are administered by injection. Oral semaglutide is an exception that is taken as a tablet. Fact 125. Oral semaglutide uses an absorption enhancer commonly referred to by the initials SNAC. It helps the medication survive the stomach environment and be absorbed. Fact 126. The absorption enhancer works by temporarily changing the stomach environment near the tablet. It also helps protect semaglutide from digestive enzymes close to the tablet. This allows a portion of the drug to be absorbed. Fact 127. Oral semaglutide has low bioavailability, often described as around 1% in some descriptions. This means only a small fraction of the swallowed dose reaches the bloodstream. The tablet contains more drug to account for that limitation. Fact 128. Injectable semaglutide has higher bioavailability than the oral form. This is because it bypasses digestion in the stomach and intestines. It is absorbed from the injection site into the bloodstream. Fact 129. Subcutaneous injection means an injection under the skin. This is the route used for many injectable GLP-1 medications. The drug is absorbed gradually from fatty tissue. Fact 130. Common subcutaneous injection sites include the abdomen, thigh, and upper arm. Product instructions often describe rotating injection sites to help reduce irritation in one area. Fact 131. Pen injectors are devices used to administer injectable GLP-1 medications. They contain pre-filled medication cartridges. They use small needles designed for subcutaneous delivery. Fact 132. Auto-injectors are another type of injection device. They insert the needle and deliver the dose automatically. Some people find this simpler than manually using a pen device. Fact 133. The Gila monster is one of the 2 venomous lizard species native to North America. The other is the Mexican beaded lizard. Both have been described as having Exendin-4 in their saliva. Fact 134. The Gila monster is named after the Gila River Basin in Arizona. It can grow to around 2 feet in length. It is known for spending much of its time underground. Fact 135. Gila monsters eat infrequently, sometimes only a few times per year. Their metabolism is slow. A GLP-1-like compound in their saliva has been proposed as one factor that may help regulate blood glucose during long intervals without food. Fact 136. John Eng is credited with discovering Exendin-4 in Gila monster venom. He was working at a Veterans Affairs medical center in the Bronx. His research began in the late 1980s. Fact 137. Exendin-4 was found to resist breakdown by dipeptidyl peptidase 4. This resistance helps it last longer than human GLP-1. That longer action made it attractive for drug development. Fact 138. The development path from Exendin-4 to exenatide took about 13 years. Research began in the early 1990s. United States approval came in 2005. Fact 139. Exenatide was originally marketed with a twice-daily dosing schedule. A once-weekly extended-release formulation was later developed under the name Bydureon. That version received United States approval in 2012. Fact 140. Lixisenatide is another GLP-1 receptor agonist derived from Exendin-4. It is sold under the name Adlixin in the United States. It received United States approval in 2016. Fact 141. Dulaglutide is a GLP-1 receptor agonist sold under the name Trulicity. It is made by Eli Lilly. It received United States approval in 2014. Fact 142. Dulaglutide is marketed with a once-weekly dosing schedule. It consists of a GLP-1 analog attached to a modified antibody fragment. The antibody fragment helps extend how long it remains in the body. Fact 143. Albaglutide was a once-weekly GLP-1 receptor agonist sold under the name Tanzium. It was withdrawn from the market in 2018. The withdrawal was described as being for commercial reasons rather than safety concerns. Fact 144. Multiple GLP-1 receptor agonists are approved in different countries. They differ in structure, dosing schedules, and delivery devices. They share the common mechanism of activating the GLP-1 receptor. Fact 145. The European Medicines Agency is responsible for evaluating and supervising medicines in the European Union. Its headquarters are in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. Fact 146. Health Canada is the Canadian government department responsible for national health policy. It regulates pharmaceutical drugs in Canada. Its headquarters are in Ottawa, in Ontario. Fact 147. The United States Food and Drug Administration regulates food and drugs, as well as medical devices and other products. Its headquarters are in Silver Spring, in Maryland. Fact 148. Drug approval timelines can differ between agencies. A medication approved by one regulator may not yet be approved by another. Differences in review timing can span months or years. Fact 149. An indication is an approved use for a medication. A drug may have different indications in different countries. Using a drug for a non-approved purpose is commonly called off-label use. Fact 150. Ozempic and Wegovy contain the same active ingredient but have different indications. Ozempic is indicated for type 2 diabetes. Wegovy is indicated for chronic weight management. Fact 151. A similar pattern applies to Mounjaro and Zepbound. Mounjaro is indicated for type 2 diabetes. Zepbound is indicated for chronic weight management. Both contain Tirzepatide. Fact 152. Clinical trials are research studies that test medications in humans. They are typically required before a drug can be approved. These studies usually progress through multiple phases. Fact 153. Phase 1 trials test a medication in a small number of healthy volunteers. They primarily assess safety and dosing. These studies often involve fewer than 100 participants. Fact 154. Phase 2. Trials test a medication in people who have the condition it is intended to treat. They assess both safety and effectiveness. These studies typically involve several hundred participants. Fact 155. Phase 3 trials are large studies that confirm effectiveness and monitor side effects. They often compare the medication to a placebo or existing treatments. These studies often involve several thousand participants. Fact 156. The STEP trials were a series of Phase 3 clinical trials for semaglutide in weight management. The name STEP stands for Semaglutide Treatment Effect in People with Obesity. Multiple STEP trials were conducted with different study designs. Fact 157. The SURMOUNT trials were a series of Phase 3 clinical trials for Tirzepatide in weight management. These trials studied different populations and outcomes. Fact 158. A placebo is an inactive substance used in clinical trials for comparison. Participants who receive a placebo do not receive the active medication. This design helps researchers estimate the effect of a drug. Fact 159. Double-blind trials are studies where neither participants nor researchers know who is receiving the active medication. This design helps reduce bias in results. Many phase 3 trials use a double-blind design. Fact 160. Randomization means participants are assigned to treatment groups by chance. This helps ensure groups are similar at the start of a study. It is a standard feature of many clinical trials. Fact 161. Post-marketing surveillance continues after a drug is approved. It monitors for side effects that may not have appeared in clinical trials. Rare side effects may become apparent only after widespread use. Fact 162. The Food and Drug Administration maintains a system called MedWatch for reporting adverse events. Healthcare providers and patients can submit reports. This information helps identify potential safety signals after approval. Fact 163. A boxed warning is the strongest warning required on a medication label in the United States. It appears in a black-bordered box at the beginning of the label. It indicates serious or life-threatening risks. Fact 164. Drug labels contain detailed information about a medication. They include indications, dosing, warnings, and side effects. These documents are also called prescribing information or package inserts. Fact 165. The Food and Drug Administration maintains a database called DailyMed that contains drug labels. It is publicly accessible online. Labels are updated when new information becomes available. Fact 166. Generic medications contain the same active ingredient as brand name medications. They must demonstrate bioequivalence to the original drug. Generic drugs are typically less expensive than brand name versions. Fact 167. Patent protection can prevent generic versions of a medication from being sold for a period of time. This period is often described as about 20 years from the patent filing date. It allows the original manufacturer to recoup development costs. Fact 168. Semaglutide and Tirzepatide are currently under patent protection in many jurisdictions. Generic versions are not yet widely available. Patent timelines vary by country and specific patent claims. Fact 169. Biosimilars are similar to generics but for biologic medications. Biologics are complex molecules made from living cells. Many GLP-1 receptor agonists are considered biologic medications. Fact 170. The approval pathway for biosimilars is different from that for generic drugs. Biosimilars must demonstrate they are highly similar to the reference product. Additional clinical studies may be required. Fact 171. Compounded medications are custom prepared by pharmacies. They are not approved products from the Food and Drug Administration. During drug shortages, compounding may be permitted under certain conditions. Fact 172. The Food and Drug Administration shortage list identifies medications that are in short supply. Being on this list can affect what compounding pharmacies can legally prepare. Semaglutide was listed during parts of the early 2020s. Fact 173. Novo Nordisk was founded in 1923 through the merger of two Danish companies. These were Nordisk Insulin Laboratorium and Novo Therapeutics Laboratorium. Both companies had been producing insulin. Fact 174. Insulin was discovered in 1921 by Frederick Banting and Charles Best. It was first used to treat a patient in 1922. Novo Nordisk has been involved in insulin production since the early 20th century. Fact 175. Novo Nordisk is headquartered in Bagsværd, Denmark. It is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in Europe. It employs tens of thousands of people worldwide. Fact 176. Eli Lilly was founded in 1876 by Colonel Eli Lilly. He was a pharmaceutical chemist and Union Army veteran. The company was an early manufacturer of medicines at industrial scale. Fact 177. Eli Lilly was also an early producer of insulin. It began producing insulin in 1923. The company has a long history in diabetes care. Fact 178. Eli Lilly is headquartered in Indianapolis, Indiana. It is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the United States. It employs tens of thousands of people worldwide. Fact 179. The Lasker Award has been given annually since 1945. It is often called America's Nobel Prize for Medicine. Some Lasker Award recipients later received the Nobel Prize. Fact 180. The 2024 Lasker Award recognized the development of GLP-1 medications for obesity treatment. The award honored advances in obesity treatment in the clinical medical research category. Fact 181. Joel Habener is a professor at Harvard Medical School. He conducted GLP-1 research at Massachusetts General Hospital. His laboratory studied the structure of the proglucagon gene. Fact 182. Svetlana Moisov is a research professor at Rockefeller University. She identified the active form of GLP-1. Her work in peptide chemistry helped clarify how GLP-1 functions. Fact 183. Lotte Bjerre Knudsen is a senior vice president at Novo Nordisk. She led the development of liraglutide and semaglutide. She has worked at Novo Nordisk since 1989. Fact 184. The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine is awarded annually by the Nobel Assembly in Sweden. It recognizes discoveries in life sciences and medicine. GLP-1 research has been discussed as a potential future recipient. Fact 185. Pharmacology is the study of how drugs interact with biological systems. It includes how drugs are absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and excreted. It also includes how drugs produce their effects. Fact 186. Pharmacokinetics describes what the body does to a drug. It includes absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. These processes determine drug levels in the body over time. Fact 187. Pharmacodynamics describes what a drug does to the body. It includes the drug's mechanism of action and effects. GLP-1 receptor activation is an example of a pharmacodynamic effect. Fact 188. The term agonist comes from a Greek word meaning contestant or combatant. In pharmacology, it refers to a substance that activates a receptor. GLP-1 receptor agonists activate the GLP-1 receptor. Fact 189. The term receptor comes from a Latin word meaning receiver. Receptors are proteins that receive and respond to signals. They are found on cell surfaces and inside cells. Fact 190. G-protein-coupled receptors are a large family of cell surface receptors. The GLP-1 receptor belongs to this family. These receptors transmit signals through proteins called G-proteins. Fact 191. When the GLP-1 receptor is activated, it triggers a cascade of events inside the cell. This involves molecules such as cyclic AMP. These intracellular signals contribute to the effects associated with GLP-1. Fact 192. The GLP-1 receptor was first cloned and characterized in 1992. This allowed researchers to study it in detail. Understanding the receptor structure helped in developing GLP-1 medications. Fact 193. Receptor binding studies measure how strongly a drug attaches to its receptor. Higher binding affinity is often associated with greater potency. Different GLP-1 medications have different binding characteristics. Fact 194. Tirzepatide has binding properties because it activates two receptors. Its affinity for the GIP receptor is similar to natural GIP. Its affinity for the GLP-1 receptor is lower than natural GLP-1. Fact 195. The dual action of tirzepatide may help explain some of its clinical effects. Activating two receptors may produce effects that differ from activating either receptor alone. This remains an area of ongoing research. Fact 196. GIP was discovered before GLP-1. It was originally called gastric inhibitory polypeptide. The name was later reinterpreted as glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. Fact 197. GIP is released from K cells in the upper small intestine. GLP-1 is released from L cells in the lower small intestine. Both hormones are released in response to food intake. Fact 198. GIP receptors are found in fat tissue, bone, and the brain. The role of GIP in these tissues is still being studied. It may have effects beyond blood sugar regulation. Fact 199. Some early research suggested blocking GIP might help with weight loss. Tirzepatide's success with GIP activation challenged this assumption. The relationship between GIP and body weight is complex. Fact 200. Combination medications that target multiple pathways are an area of active research. Tirzepatide's dual mechanism is one example. Triple agonists targeting GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors are in development. Fact 201. Retatrutide is an investigational medication that activates three receptors. It targets GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors. It is sometimes called a triple agonist or triagonist. Fact 202. The glucagon receptor is the third target of retatrutide. Glucagon typically raises blood sugar levels. Glucagon can also increase energy expenditure and may promote fat breakdown. Fact 203. Early clinical trials of retatrutide showed substantial weight loss. Phase 2 trial results were published in 2023. Phase 3 trials are ongoing to further evaluate safety and effectiveness. Fact 204. Eli Lilly is developing retatrutide. It is the same company that developed tirzepatide. The company has multiple incretin-based medications in its development pipeline. Fact 205. Orforglipron is an investigational oral GLP-1 receptor agonist. It is a small molecule rather than a peptide. Small molecules are generally easier to formulate as oral medications. Fact 206. Most GLP-1 receptor agonists are peptides. Peptides are chains of amino acids. They are typically broken down in the digestive system, which is why most are given by injection. Fact 207. Small molecule drugs have different chemical structures than peptides. They can often survive the digestive system more easily. Orforglipron represents an alternative approach to GLP-1 receptor activation. Fact 208. Eli Lilly is also developing orforglipron. Phase 3 clinical trials are underway. If approved, it would be an oral alternative to injectable GLP-1 medications. Fact 209. Pfizer has also been developing oral GLP-1 medications. The company discontinued development of one candidate called lotiglipron in 2023. Another candidate called danuglipron continues in development. Fact 210. Amgen is developing an injectable GLP-1 medication called MariTide. It is designed to be dosed once monthly. This would be less frequent than current weekly injections. Fact 211. MariTide combines a GLP-1 component with an antibody. The antibody component extends its duration of action. Early trial results showed sustained effects over monthly dosing intervals. Fact 212. Viking Therapeutics is developing a dual GLP-1 and GIP agonist called VK2735. It is being studied in both injectable and oral formulations. It is one of several medications in this class under development. Fact 213. The pharmaceutical industry has invested substantially in incretin-based drug development. Multiple companies are pursuing various approaches. This reflects the large potential market for these medications. Fact 214. Structure-activity relationship studies examine how changes to a molecule affect its function. These studies helped optimize GLP-1 medications. Small changes can significantly affect duration of action and potency. Fact 215. Amino acid substitutions are one way to modify peptide drugs. Replacing certain amino acids can make a peptide resistant to enzyme breakdown. This approach was used in developing semaglutide. Fact 216. Fatty acid conjugation is another modification technique. Attaching fatty acids helps peptides bind to blood proteins. This protects them from degradation and extends their duration of action. Fact 217. Pegylation is a technique that attaches polyethylene glycol to drug molecules. It can extend duration of action and reduce immune responses. Some medications use this approach. Fact 218. Fc fusion is a technique that attaches drug molecules to antibody fragments. The antibody fragment extends the half-life through natural recycling mechanisms. Dulaglutide uses this approach. Fact 219. The neonatal Fc receptor is involved in recycling antibodies in the body. Fc fusion proteins take advantage of this system. This helps extend circulation time in the bloodstream. Fact 220. Different GLP-1 medications have different molecular weights. Larger molecules generally have longer durations of action. This is one factor that influences dosing frequency. Fact 221. Semaglutide has a molecular weight of approximately 4,114 daltons. A dalton is a unit of molecular mass. This is relatively small compared to some other biologic medications. Fact 222. Tirzepatide has a molecular weight of approximately 4,814 daltons. This is slightly larger than semaglutide. Both are considered peptide medications. Fact 223. Insulin glargine, a common long-acting insulin, has a molecular weight of approximately 6,063 daltons. For comparison, human insulin has a molecular weight of approximately 5,808 daltons. Fact 224. Monoclonal antibodies are much larger molecules. They typically have molecular weights of approximately 150,000 daltons. Size affects how drugs are absorbed, distributed, and eliminated. Fact 225. The liver plays a role in metabolizing many medications. GLP-1 receptor agonists are primarily broken down through general protein degradation pathways. They do not rely heavily on common liver enzyme systems for metabolism. Fact 226. The kidneys help eliminate medications and their breakdown products from the body. Kidney function can affect drug levels. This is a consideration for many medications. Fact 227. Dose adjustment may be needed for some medications in people with kidney impairment. The prescribing information for each medication contains specific guidance. This is determined during clinical development. Fact 228. Drug-drug interactions occur when one medication affects another. GLP-1 medications can affect the absorption of some oral medications. This is related to their effect on gastric emptying. Fact 229. Slowed gastric emptying means oral medications may be absorbed more slowly. This can affect when peak drug levels occur. It may be relevant for medications that need rapid absorption. Fact 230. Clinical pharmacology studies examine how drugs behave in the human body. They measure drug levels over time after administration. This information helps determine appropriate dosing. Fact 231. Area under the curve is a pharmacokinetic measurement. It represents total drug exposure over time. It is calculated from blood concentration measurements at multiple time points. Fact 232. Peak concentration refers to the highest drug level achieved after a dose. The time to peak concentration varies between medications. For weekly GLP-1 medications, peak levels often occur 1 to 3 days after injection. Fact 233. Trough concentration refers to the lowest drug level before the next dose. For medications dosed weekly, this occurs just before the next injection. Consistent trough levels indicate steady drug exposure. Fact 234. Steady state is reached when drug levels become consistent from dose to dose. For weekly semaglutide, steady state is reached after approximately 4 to 5 weeks. This reflects the drug's long half-life. Fact 235. Loading doses are higher initial doses sometimes used to reach therapeutic levels faster. GLP-1 medications typically use the opposite approach. They start with lower doses that gradually increase. Fact 236. Dose titration means gradually increasing the dose over time. This approach is used for GLP-1 medications to improve tolerability. It allows the body to adjust to the medication's effects. Fact 237. The starting dose of semaglutide for weight management is lower than the maintenance dose. The dose is increased at intervals over several months. The specific schedule is outlined in the prescribing information. Fact 238. Tirzepatide also uses a dose titration approach. The dose is gradually increased based on tolerability. The maintenance dose varies among individuals. Fact 239. Individual response to medications varies. Some people may experience more side effects than others. Some people may have greater or lesser responses to the same dose. Fact 240. Pharmacogenomics studies how genetic differences affect drug response. Genetic variations can influence drug metabolism and effectiveness. Research in this area is ongoing for many medications. Fact 241. Body weight can affect drug distribution and metabolism. Larger individuals may have different drug exposure than smaller individuals. Some medications adjust dosing based on body weight. Fact 242. GLP-1 medications for weight management use fixed doses rather than weight-based dosing. The dose is titrated based on tolerability and response. This approach was established in clinical trials. Fact 243. Adherence refers to how consistently a person takes their medication as prescribed. Once weekly dosing may improve adherence compared to daily dosing. Missing fewer doses can improve outcomes. Fact 244. Persistence refers to how long a person continues taking a medication over time. Many factors influence persistence with any medication. Studies have examined persistence with GLP-1 medications. Fact 245. Patient preference studies examine which medication characteristics people prefer. Some people prefer less frequent dosing. Some people prefer oral medications over injections. Fact 246. Auto-injector devices may reduce anxiety about self-injection for some people. The needle is not visible during injection. Different devices have different features. Fact 247. Needle gauge refers to the thickness of a needle. Higher gauge numbers indicate thinner needles. Thinner needles may cause less discomfort during injection. Fact 248. Needle length affects how deeply the medication is injected. Subcutaneous injections require needles that reach the fatty tissue under the skin. Typical lengths range from 4 to 8 millimeters. Fact 249. Proper injection technique helps ensure consistent drug absorption. Healthcare providers typically demonstrate proper technique. Written and video instructions are also available. Fact 250. Storage requirements vary among GLP-1 medications. Most require refrigeration before first use. Some can be stored at room temperature for a limited time after first use. Fact 251. Medications should not be frozen. Freezing can damage the molecular structure of peptides. Frozen medication should not be used. Fact 252. Light exposure can degrade some medications. GLP-1 pen injectors are typically designed to protect the medication from light. Medications are often kept in their original packaging until use. Fact 253. Expiration dates indicate the period during which a medication is expected to remain stable. Using medication past its expiration date is generally discouraged. Expiration dates are determined through stability testing. Fact 254. In-use stability refers to how long a medication remains stable after first use. After a pen injector is first used, it may have a shorter shelf life. This information is provided in prescribing information. Fact 255. Temperature excursions occur when medications are exposed to temperatures outside their recommended range. Brief excursions may not affect medication quality. Longer exposure to extreme temperatures can be more concerning. Fact 256. Traveling with injectable medications requires planning. Medications are typically kept within an appropriate temperature range during travel. Insulated bags or coolers can be used for longer trips. Fact 257. Airport security regulations generally allow passengers to carry injectable medications. Documentation such as a prescription label can be useful. Medications are often kept in carry-on luggage rather than checked bags. Fact 258. Sharps disposal refers to the safe disposal of used needles and syringes. Sharps containers are designed for this purpose. Some pharmacies and healthcare facilities accept used Sharps containers. Fact 259. Needle stick injuries can occur if sharps are not disposed of properly. Used needles are not meant to be recapped or bent. Proper disposal helps protect individuals and waste handlers. Fact 260. Pen injectors are designed for single-patient use. Sharing pen injectors between people is not recommended. This is true even if the needle is changed between uses. Fact 261. Bloodborne pathogens can potentially be transmitted through shared injection devices. This is one reason pen injectors are not shared. Each person is expected to use their own device. Fact 262. Healthcare providers receive training on injection safety. This includes proper technique and disposal procedures. Patient education is often part of prescribing injectable medications. Fact 263. Demonstration devices are available for patient education. These devices do not contain medication. They allow people to practice injection technique before using the actual medication. Fact 264. Written instructions are included with GLP-1 pen injectors. These instructions explain how to prepare and administer the injection. They also explain storage and disposal. Fact 265. Video instructions are available online for most GLP-1 medications. These provide visual demonstrations of injection technique. They can be helpful for people who prefer visual learning. Fact 266. Patient support programs are offered by pharmaceutical manufacturers. These programs may include educational resources and adherence support. Some programs offer financial assistance for eligible patients. Fact 267. The cost of GLP-1 medications varies by country and insurance coverage. These medications are generally expensive without insurance. Cost can be a barrier to access for some people. Fact 268. Insurance coverage for weight management medications varies. Some insurance plans cover these medications while others do not. Coverage can depend on specific criteria being met. Fact 269. Prior authorization is a process where insurance companies require approval before covering certain medications. GLP-1 medications often require prior authorization. This process can delay access to medication. Fact 270. Step therapy is when insurance requires trying less expensive medications first. Some insurance plans require step therapy for GLP-1 medications. This policy varies among insurance providers. Fact 271. Medicare is the federal health insurance program for people 65 and older in the United States. Medicare Part D has historically not covered weight loss medications. Policy changes have been proposed and debated. Fact 272. Medicaid is a joint federal and state program providing health coverage for people with limited income. Medicaid coverage for weight management medications varies by state. Each state sets its own coverage policies. Fact 273. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 included provisions related to drug pricing in the United States. It allowed Medicare to negotiate prices for certain drugs. The impact on GLP-1 medication pricing continues to evolve. Fact 274. International drug prices vary significantly between countries. The same medication may cost different amounts in different countries. Pricing is influenced by healthcare systems and government policies. Fact 275. Reference pricing is a policy where governments set maximum reimbursement levels. Some countries use reference pricing to control drug costs. This can affect medication availability and pricing. Fact 276. Health technology assessment evaluates the value of medical treatments. Government agencies in many countries conduct these assessments. These assessments can inform decisions about coverage and reimbursement. Fact 277. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence is abbreviated as NICE. It provides guidance on healthcare in England. NICE has evaluated GLP-1 medications for various indications. Fact 278. Cost-effectiveness analysis compares the costs and health outcomes of different treatments. It is used in health technology assessment. Results are often expressed as cost per quality-adjusted life year. Fact 279. Quality-adjusted life years combine length of life with quality of life. They are used to measure health outcomes in economic analyses. 1 year in perfect health equals 1 quality-adjusted life year. Fact 280. Real-world evidence comes from data collected outside of clinical trials. It includes information from electronic health records and insurance claims. This evidence is often discussed alongside clinical trial data. Fact 281. Electronic health records contain information about patient care. They can be used to study medication use and outcomes. Privacy protections govern how this data can be used for research. Fact 282. Claims data from insurance companies show what medications were dispensed and what diagnoses were recorded. This data is used for health services research. It can provide insights into real-world medication use patterns. Fact 283. Registry studies collect data on specific conditions or treatments over time. Some registries focus on obesity and its treatment. They can provide long-term outcome data. Fact 284. Observational studies examine outcomes without assigning participants to treatment groups. They reflect real-world use of medications. They are often discussed alongside randomized controlled trials. Fact 285. Confounding occurs when other factors influence the relationship between treatment and outcomes. Observational studies are more susceptible to confounding than randomized trials. Statistical methods can help address confounding. Fact 286. Propensity score matching is a statistical technique used in observational research. It helps create comparable groups for analysis. This can reduce the impact of confounding factors. Fact 287. Long-term outcome data for GLP-1 medications continues to accumulate. These medications have been available for nearly 2 decades. Newer formulations have shorter track records. Fact 288. Cardiovascular outcome trials are studies designed to assess heart-related outcomes. Regulatory agencies have required these trials for diabetes medications. Several GLP-1 medications have completed cardiovascular outcome trials. Fact 289. The LEADER trial studied cardiovascular outcomes with liraglutide. It reported fewer major cardiovascular events compared with placebo. Results were published in 2016. Fact 290. The SUSTAIN-6 trial studied cardiovascular outcomes with semaglutide. It reported fewer major cardiovascular events compared with placebo. Results were published in 2016. Fact 291. The SELECT trial studied cardiovascular outcomes with semaglutide in people without diabetes. It reported a reduction in major adverse cardiovascular events. Results were published in 2023. Fact 292. Major adverse cardiovascular events is a composite endpoint used in cardiovascular outcome trials. It typically includes cardiovascular death, heart attack, and stroke. This endpoint is abbreviated as Major Adverse Cardiovascular Events. Fact 293. The finding of cardiovascular benefit was notable because some earlier weight loss medications raised cardiovascular concerns. Fen-phen was linked to heart valve damage. Sibutramine was linked to increased cardiovascular risk. Fact 294. The cardiovascular benefits of GLP-1 medications may occur through multiple mechanisms. Weight loss itself can improve cardiovascular risk factors. Direct effects on the heart and blood vessels may also contribute. Fact 295. Blood pressure often decreases with GLP-1 medication use. This may contribute to cardiovascular benefit. Blood pressure reduction has been observed in clinical trials. Fact 296. Cholesterol levels may improve with GLP-1 medication use. Total cholesterol and low-density lipoprotein cholesterol may decrease. These changes may contribute to cardiovascular benefit. Fact 297. Inflammation markers may decrease with GLP-1 medication use. C-reactive protein is one marker that has been studied. Reduced inflammation may contribute to cardiovascular benefit. Fact 298. The heart has GLP-1 receptors. Direct effects on cardiac tissue are being studied. This remains an active area of research. Fact 299. Blood vessels also have GLP-1 receptors. Effects on blood vessel function are being studied. GLP-1 may affect how blood vessels dilate and constrict. Fact 300. The kidneys have GLP-1 receptors. Effects on kidney function are being studied. Some research suggests potential kidney protective effects. Fact 301. The FLOW trial studied kidney outcomes with semaglutide. It reported reduced progression of kidney disease. Results were reported in 2024. Fact 302. Chronic kidney disease is a condition in which kidney function declines over time. It is common in people with diabetes. Protecting kidney function is an important treatment goal. Fact 303. Albuminuria refers to the presence of albumin protein in the urine. It is a marker of kidney damage. Some studies have reported reductions in albuminuria with GLP-1 medications. Fact 304. Estimated glomerular filtration rate is a measure of kidney function. It is abbreviated as eGFR. Lower values indicate reduced kidney function. Fact 305. The liver also has GLP-1 receptors. Effects on liver fat and liver function are being studied. This is relevant to conditions affecting the liver. Fact 306. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a condition where fat accumulates in the liver. It is associated with obesity and metabolic conditions. The condition is now often called metabolic dysfunction-associated steatotic liver disease. Fact 307. Steatohepatitis is inflammation of the liver associated with fat accumulation. It can progress to more serious liver disease. Research is examining whether GLP-1 medications may affect this condition. Fact 308. Resmetirom is a medication approved specifically for metabolic dysfunction-associated steatohepatitis. It works through a different mechanism than GLP-1 medications. It targets thyroid hormone receptors in the liver. Fact 309. Clinical trials are studying GLP-1 medications for liver conditions. These studies examine effects on liver fat and inflammation. Results will help clarify potential benefits and risks. Fact 310. Obstructive sleep apnea is a condition where breathing repeatedly stops during sleep. It is more common in people with obesity. Weight loss can improve sleep apnea severity in some individuals. Fact 311. The SURMOUNT-OSA trial studied Tirzepatide in people with obstructive sleep apnea. It reported improvements in sleep apnea severity. Results were reported in 2024. Fact 312. The apnea-hypopnea index measures the severity of sleep apnea. It counts breathing interruptions per hour of sleep. Lower numbers indicate less severe sleep apnea. Fact 313. Continuous positive airway pressure is a treatment for sleep apnea. It is abbreviated as CPAP. It involves wearing a mask that delivers pressurized air during sleep. Fact 314. Weight loss may reduce the need for CPAP in some people. Individual results vary. Fact 315. Osteoarthritis is a condition where joint cartilage breaks down over time. It commonly affects weight-bearing joints like knees and hips. Excess body weight increases stress on these joints. Fact 316. Weight loss can reduce symptoms of knee osteoarthritis. Less weight means less force on the joint with each step. This is a mechanical effect of weight reduction. Fact 317. The Step 9 trial studied semaglutide in people with knee osteoarthritis. It reported improvements in knee pain and function. Results were published in 2024. Fact 318. Joint replacement surgery is sometimes needed for severe osteoarthritis. Surgeons may recommend weight loss before surgery. Weight loss can improve surgical outcomes and reduce complications. Fact 319. Heart failure is a condition where the heart cannot pump blood effectively. It can be classified by how well the heart squeezes. Heart failure with preserved ejection fraction is one type. Fact 320. Ejection fraction measures how much blood the heart pumps with each beat. Normal ejection fraction is typically 55% or higher. Preserved ejection fraction means this measurement is normal or near normal. Fact 321. Heart failure with preserved ejection fraction is often associated with obesity. The heart muscle may be stiff even though it squeezes normally. This condition has been difficult to treat. Fact 322. The STEP HFpEF trial studied semaglutide in people with heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. It reported improvements in symptoms and physical function. Results were published in 2023. Fact 323. The 6-minute walk test measures how far a person can walk in 6 minutes. It is used to assess physical function in heart failure. Improvements in this test indicate better exercise capacity. Fact 324. The Kansas City Cardiomyopathy Questionnaire is a tool that measures heart failure symptoms and quality of life. Higher scores indicate better health status. It is commonly used in heart failure clinical trials. Fact 325. Peripheral artery disease is a condition where arteries in the legs become narrowed. It can cause leg pain with walking. It is associated with cardiovascular disease. Fact 326. Polycystic ovary syndrome is a hormonal condition that affects people with ovaries. It is associated with insulin resistance and weight gain. It can affect fertility and menstrual cycles. Fact 327. Weight loss can improve symptoms of polycystic ovary syndrome. GLP-1 medications are being studied for this condition. Fact 328. Insulin resistance means the body's cells do not respond normally to insulin. Higher insulin levels are needed to control blood sugar. Weight loss can improve insulin sensitivity. Fact 329. Metabolic syndrome is a cluster of conditions that increase cardiovascular risk. It includes elevated blood pressure, blood sugar, and triglycerides. Central obesity is also a component. Fact 330. Waist circumference is one measure of central obesity. It reflects fat stored around the abdominal organs. Central obesity is associated with metabolic risk. Fact 331. Visceral fat is fat stored around the internal organs. It is metabolically active and associated with health risks. It is different from subcutaneous fat stored under the skin. Fact 332. Body composition refers to the proportions of fat, muscle, bone, and other tissues in the body. Weight loss can affect body composition. Fact 333. Lean body mass refers to body weight minus fat mass. It includes muscle, bone, organs, and water. Preserving lean body mass during weight loss is generally considered desirable. Fact 334. Dual energy X-ray absorptiometry can measure body composition. It is abbreviated as DEXA or DXA. It provides detailed information about fat and lean tissue distribution. Fact 335. Bioelectrical impedance analysis is another method to estimate body composition. It measures how electrical current flows through the body. Different tissues conduct electricity differently. Fact 336. Clinical trials have measured body composition changes with GLP-1 medications. Weight loss includes both fat mass and some lean mass. The proportion of fat loss is generally high. Fact 337. Resistance exercise can help preserve muscle during weight loss. Combining medication with physical activity may affect body composition. Physical activity has additional health benefits. Fact 338. Protein intake may affect muscle preservation during weight loss. Dietary guidance can complement medication treatment. Fact 339. The set point theory suggests the body defends a particular weight. After weight loss, biological systems may promote weight regain. This may help explain why maintaining weight loss is challenging. Fact 340. Adaptive thermogenesis refers to decreased calorie burning after weight loss. The body may become more efficient after losing weight. This can make further weight loss more difficult. Fact 341. Hunger hormones change after weight loss. Ghrelin is a hormone that increases appetite. Ghrelin levels may increase after weight loss. Fact 342. Leptin is a hormone produced by fat cells. It signals fullness to the brain. Leptin levels decrease as fat mass decreases. Fact 343. The decrease in leptin after weight loss may increase hunger. This is one biological factor that promotes weight regain. Fact 344. GLP-1 medications may counteract some biological responses to weight loss. By reducing appetite, they may help maintain weight loss. Fact 345. Weight cycling refers to repeated cycles of weight loss and regain. It is sometimes called yo-yo dieting. Some research has examined health effects of weight cycling. Fact 346. Behavioral interventions for weight management include dietary changes and physical activity. They also include behavioral strategies like self-monitoring. These interventions are often discussed alongside medication. Fact 347. Self-monitoring involves tracking food intake, physical activity, or weight. It is associated with better weight management outcomes. Various tools and apps are available for self-monitoring. Fact 348. Cognitive behavioral therapy addresses thoughts and behaviors related to eating and weight. It can help develop coping strategies and problem-solving skills. It is used in comprehensive weight management programs. Fact 349. Motivational interviewing is a counseling approach that explores ambivalence about change. It can help people identify their own reasons for behavior change. It is used in various health behavior interventions. Fact 350. Comprehensive weight management programs often combine multiple approaches. These may include diet, physical activity, behavioral therapy, and medication. Bariatric surgery is another option for some people. Fact 351. Bariatric surgery refers to surgical procedures used for weight loss. Common types include gastric bypass and sleeve gastrectomy. These procedures alter the anatomy of the digestive system. Fact 352. Gastric bypass surgery creates a small stomach pouch and reroutes the small intestine. It reduces the amount of food that can be eaten at one time. It also changes how nutrients are absorbed. Fact 353. Sleeve gastrectomy removes a large portion of the stomach. The remaining stomach is shaped like a tube or sleeve. This significantly reduces stomach capacity. Fact 354. Bariatric surgery also affects gut hormone levels. GLP-1 levels increase after gastric bypass surgery. This hormonal change may contribute to metabolic changes and weight loss. Fact 355. The increase in GLP-1 after bariatric surgery helped inform the development of GLP-1 medications. Surgery demonstrated that higher GLP-1 levels could influence weight and metabolism. Medications aim to produce similar hormonal effects without surgery. Fact 356. Adjustable gastric banding was once a common bariatric procedure. A band is placed around the upper stomach to create a small pouch. This procedure has become less common over time. Fact 357. Biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch is a more complex bariatric procedure. It combines stomach reduction with intestinal rerouting. It produces significant malabsorption of calories and nutrients. Fact 358. Bariatric surgery requires lifelong follow-up care. Nutritional monitoring is important after surgery. Vitamin and mineral supplementation is typically required. Fact 359. Comparative studies have examined GLP-1 medications versus bariatric surgery. Surgery generally produces greater weight loss. Medications may be preferred by some individuals. Fact 360. Some people use GLP-1 medications before bariatric surgery. Weight loss before surgery may reduce surgical risks. This approach is sometimes called preoperative optimization. Fact 361. Some people use GLP-1 medications after bariatric surgery. This may help with additional weight loss or prevent weight regain. Research is examining this combination approach. Fact 362. Endoscopic bariatric procedures are less invasive than traditional surgery. They are performed through the mouth using an endoscope. Examples include intragastric balloons and endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty. Fact 363. Intragastric balloons are devices placed in the stomach to reduce its capacity. They are temporary and typically removed after several months. They are one option in the spectrum of weight management interventions. Fact 364. The choice among weight management approaches depends on many factors. These include the degree of weight loss needed and individual preferences. Medical history and risk factors also influence decisions. Fact 365. Body mass index is a measure calculated from height and weight. It is abbreviated as body mass index. It is commonly used to categorize weight status. Fact 366. Body mass index is calculated by dividing weight in kilograms by height in meters squared. For pounds and inches, the formula includes a conversion factor. Online calculators and charts are widely available. Fact 367. A body mass index of 18.5 to 24.9 is generally considered normal weight. A body mass index of 25 to 29.9 is considered overweight. A body mass index of 30 or higher is considered obese. Fact 368. Body mass index has limitations as a health measure. It does not distinguish between fat and muscle mass. A muscular person may have a high body mass index without excess fat. Fact 369. Body mass index also does not indicate where fat is distributed. Central fat distribution carries more health risk than peripheral distribution. Waist circumference provides additional information. Fact 370. Body mass index categories may not apply equally across all populations. Different ethnic groups may have different health risks at the same body mass index. Some guidelines suggest different cutoffs for certain populations. Fact 371. The World Health Organization established the standard body mass index categories. These categories are used internationally. They were based primarily on data from European populations. Fact 372. Obesity is further divided into classes based on body mass index. Class 1 obesity is body mass index 30 to 34.9. Class 2 obesity is body mass index 35 to 39.9. Class 3 obesity is body mass index 40 or higher. Fact 373. Class 3 obesity is sometimes called severe obesity or morbid obesity. The term morbid obesity has fallen out of favor. More neutral terminology is generally preferred. Fact 374. Prevalence refers to how common a condition is in a population. Obesity prevalence has increased over several decades. This trend has been observed in many countries. Fact 375. In the United States, obesity prevalence among adults was approximately 42% in recent surveys. Rates vary by age, sex, and other demographic factors. Fact 376. Childhood obesity prevalence has also increased over time. Approximately 20% of children and adolescents in the United States have obesity. Early onset of obesity can affect lifelong health. Fact 377. Obesity prevalence varies significantly between countries. Some countries have much higher rates than others. Economic development and dietary patterns influence these differences. Fact 378. The term obesogenic environment refers to surroundings that promote weight gain. This includes food availability, portion sizes, and opportunities for physical activity. Environmental factors contribute to population-level obesity trends. Fact 379. Food deserts are areas with limited access to affordable, nutritious food. They are more common in low-income neighborhoods. Access to healthy food affects dietary choices. Fact 380. Ultra-processed foods have undergone extensive industrial processing. They often contain added sugars, fats, and salt. Higher consumption of ultra-processed foods is associated with weight gain. Fact 381. Portion sizes have increased over time in many countries. Larger portions provide more calories. This may contribute to increased calorie consumption. Fact 382. Sedentary behavior refers to activities with low energy expenditure. This includes sitting, watching television, and using computers. Modern lifestyles often involve extended sedentary time. Fact 383. Physical activity guidelines recommend regular moderate to vigorous activity. Adults are generally advised to get at least 150 minutes of moderate activity per week. Activity provides health benefits beyond weight management. Fact 384. Sleep duration may affect weight and metabolism. Short sleep duration is associated with increased obesity risk. Sleep affects hormones that regulate hunger and fullness. Fact 385. Stress can affect eating behaviors and weight. Some people eat more when stressed, while others eat less. Chronic stress may contribute to weight gain for some individuals. Fact 386. Cortisol is a hormone released in response to stress. Chronically elevated cortisol may promote fat storage. Stress management is one component of comprehensive health approaches. Fact 387. Social determinants of health are conditions in which people live, work, and age. They include economic stability, education, and social context. These factors influence health behaviors and outcomes. Fact 388. Health disparities are differences in health outcomes between population groups. Obesity rates and access to treatment vary by socioeconomic status and race. Addressing disparities is a public health priority. Fact 389. Stigma refers to negative attitudes and discrimination toward people with certain characteristics. Weight stigma is common and can affect mental and physical health. Healthcare settings are not immune to weight stigma. Fact 390. Internalized weight stigma occurs when individuals accept negative stereotypes about themselves. It can lead to shame, depression, and disordered eating. Reducing stigma benefits individual and public health. Fact 391. People-first language refers to phrasing that puts the person before their condition. For example, saying person with obesity rather than obese person. This language choice is intended to reduce stigma. Fact 392. The obesity medicine specialty focuses on the comprehensive treatment of obesity. Physicians can obtain certification in obesity medicine. This reflects recognition of obesity as a medical condition requiring specialized knowledge. Fact 393. The Obesity Medicine Association is a professional organization for clinicians. It provides education and resources on obesity treatment. It was founded in 1950 and was originally called the American Society of Bariatric Physicians. Fact 394. The Obesity Society is a scientific organization focused on obesity research. It publishes the journal Obesity. It was founded in 1982. Fact 395. The World Obesity Federation is an international organization representing obesity associations. It advocates for recognition of obesity as a disease. It works to improve policies and reduce stigma globally. Fact 396. Obesity Action Coalition is a patient advocacy organization. It represents individuals affected by obesity. It provides education and advocates for access to treatment. Fact 397. Clinical practice guidelines provide recommendations for treating medical conditions. Multiple organizations have published guidelines for obesity management. Guidelines are updated as new evidence becomes available. Fact 398. The American Gastroenterological Association published guidelines on pharmacotherapy for obesity in 2022. These guidelines discuss the use of GLP-1 receptor agonists. They provide guidance on medication selection and use. Fact 399. The Endocrine Society has published clinical practice guidelines on pharmacological management of obesity. These guidelines discuss various medication options. They are intended to help clinicians make treatment decisions. Fact 400. Guidelines are based on systematic review of available evidence. Expert panels evaluate the quality and strength of evidence. Recommendations are graded based on the certainty of evidence. Fact 401. Shared decision-making involves patients and providers making healthcare decisions together. It incorporates patient preferences and values. It is considered best practice for treatment decisions.